Get ready for a Hollywood meltdown like never before. Blake Lively just showed her true colors, revealing the nastiest side of fame you didn't know existed. Today, we're diving into the shocking feud tearing apart the Lively family. Blake Lively on a rampage against her own sister. What triggered this brutal betrayal? How far will Blake go to protect her own ego? And why is this family drama spilling into the public eye? Buckle up because the claws are out and it's about to get vicious. This isn't just tabloid drama. It's a full-blown war with Blake Lively at the center, burning every bridge in sight. Blake has been stirring up a hurricane of trouble for months now, all because she wants to look like a victim while pushing blame onto her director Justin Baldoni. It all started when she insisted he hurt her so badly she could barely face the world. She made herself sound too fearful, too shaken, and too weak to handle public events. But then something incredible happened. She showed up at the premiere of A Simple Favor, looking like she didn't have a care in the world. She strutted down the red carpet, posed for pictures, and seemed eager for attention. People expected someone in deep distress to avoid all that, but she did the exact opposite. A huge contradiction that raised eyebrows throughout Hollywood. Her director, Paul Feig, who worked on A Simple Favor, stepped forward to speak on this matter. He shut down the idea that Blake was too terrified to be seen in public. This short response wiped out any claim that she was trembling in fear at the premiere. If she truly had been as frightened as she claimed, her own director would have known, but he quickly made it clear he didn't believe her story. This pulled the rug out from under her. If he wasn't going to back her up, who would? Blake was likely furious behind the scenes. She spent months acting like she was too emotionally shaken to continue living her usual life. Yet there she was, looking completely fine, taking pictures and showing zero fear while facing cameras. People started to wonder if she was just pretending to be scared so she could point fingers at Baldoni. Things became much worse for her once a shocking audio leak hit social media. Ari Emanuel, CEO of WME, one of Hollywood's giant talent agencies, admitted he fired Justin Baldoni because he was close friends with Blake and Ryan Reynolds. There was no mention of Justin doing anything wrong. It was all about who was friendly with whom. That conversation revealed a completely different truth than what Blake had been feeding the public. She kept insisting Baldoni deserved to be shunned by Hollywood, yet the real reason he lost everything was because powerful connections were used against him. It was a classic case of favoritism at the highest level. This was devastating for Justin Baldoni. Projects he had lined up, like a live-action Pac-Man film, fell apart. Other deals were halted too, including a big arrangement with Wayfarer Studios. Streaming platforms didn't want to touch him after WME let him go. A top agency in Hollywood dropping him was like a curse. Nobody wanted to work with someone who had been secretly pushed out. All the while, Blake carried on with her career as if she had done nothing wrong. She even scored a job narrating a documentary for Hulu, proving she still had plenty of power to keep her name in lights while Justin's career shriveled. The audio of Ari Emanuel discussing why he actually fired Justin was explosive. Before it leaked, Blake had tried to frame everything as if Justin was to blame. She pretended the industry was backing away from him because of terrible behavior. Then the truth came out. He was punished because Blake and Ryan demanded it, or at least because Ari wanted to stay on their good side. It had nothing to do with any real wrongdoing. It was purely about protecting friends. This made Blake look vicious. She was painting herself as a helpless person in need of protection while quietly getting someone fired through personal connections. The scariest part for Hollywood was that the leaked audio showed how normal it is for big stars to use their influence to destroy someone's career. People like Blake can decide someone is a problem, then rely on agency heads to cut that person out of deals. No serious investigation, no evidence, nothing but a phone call or a meeting behind closed doors. That alone was enough to knock Justin out of major projects that could have advanced his career and earned him millions. Then, to make matters worse, the Freakonomics podcast that recorded Ari's confession never aired that particular episode. It was supposedly lost because of a technical glitch, but nobody believed that excuse. It sounded too perfect to be an accident. The internet wasn't fooled, and the audio spread all over social media anyway. Once people heard the truth, they saw through Blake's claims of being too scared to exist in public. If she was actually that terrified, why would she be so bent on posting photos, appearing at events, and smiling in front of large crowds? She wanted everyone to think she was a trembling wreck, but then showed the opposite in real life. Her hypocrisy was evident to anyone paying attention. She insisted that Justin Baldoni ruined her life, even though her life kept moving ahead just fine. She got more opportunities and wasn't dropped by any agencies. Nobody in Hollywood seemed to doubt her ability to do her job. Meanwhile, Justin lost deals left and right. Some folks in the entertainment world started to question why there was no sign of Blake's life falling apart. Shouldn't someone who is too anxious to leave the house be missing from all these fancy events and social media posts? Shouldn't she be seeking peace away from cameras? Paul Feig's simple statement that she was wrong destroyed whatever story she had left to tell. She claimed she was very fragile at the premiere, but the director who saw her firsthand didn't support that narrative. It's hard to maintain a lie when the main person in charge of the film isn't backing you up. When the news broke about Ari Emanuel firing Justin, people saw a pattern. Blake wasn't just telling some tall tale. She was using her connections to harm Justin's career. She pretended she was the wounded party while arranging to get him kicked out of major projects. He had deals in the works for streaming platforms, including Amazon Prime Video and Apple TV+. Those deals vanished into thin air once WME dropped him. No big streamer wants to invest millions in someone who's been ousted from the biggest talent agency in the business. Looking at the difference in their lives right now, it becomes pretty clear who is truly suffering and who is doing just fine. Justin Baldoni is scraping by, trying to piece his career together. He's battling a lawsuit that appears to show how Blake ruined his future opportunities. Meanwhile, she keeps working on different projects. She hasn't vanished from public life. She's still taking advantage of red carpets, interviews, and social media. That doesn't match what you'd expect from a person who claims to be too scared to set foot outside. Even worse, she had the nerve to tell the court that her anxiety was causing physical pain and that her entire family felt the weight of her struggles. Yet she didn't stop living the glamorous life. She walked right past everyone with a smile, as if she had no problem being the center of attention. It's one thing to experience anxiety, but it's another thing entirely to lie about it for sympathy, especially if it means hurting someone else's livelihood. As the lawsuit drags on, legal experts say both sides would normally settle a case like this to keep their secrets hidden, but it seems neither side will do that. Blake has dug herself too deep. She's told too many stories about how she's a victim. If she backs down now, she admits she made things up. That would ruin her image as someone who stands up against wrongdoing. She would have to face the possibility that she'll be seen as a complete fake who tried to destroy a man's career for no real reason. Justin, on the other hand, has no motivation to settle. He already has proof from Ari Emanuel's own words that the firing was personal and not based on any wrongdoing. That alone boosts his defamation case. It shows that Blake didn't suffer the way she claimed, but Justin did pay a huge price due to her powerful allies. The whole situation has become a ticking time bomb for Hollywood because if this goes to trial, everything could be exposed. Text messages, emails, phone calls, deals, and personal conversations might all be laid out for the public to see. That's the last thing many industry players want. It could show how easy it is for an actor with connections to wipe out another actor's future. It might also reveal that agencies don't always follow fair procedures or look into facts before deciding someone's fate. Instead, they sometimes do whatever a top star wants just to keep friendships intact. Blake doesn't appear to care about any of that. She's focused on defending her own false story. She spent so long telling people that Justin was a threat to her peace of mind, she probably expected nobody would challenge her. For a while, it seemed like her plan might work, especially when WME fired Justin. She had the upper hand, and he lost major projects. Everyone might have believed she was telling the truth if Paul Feig hadn't spoken out, and if Ari Emanuel's audio hadn't been leaked. Now it's a different world. People realized that Blake isn't some kind person who was hurt by an evil man. Instead, she used her fame and buddies in high places to punish Justin for reasons that still aren't very clear. Maybe she just wanted someone to blame for her problems. Maybe she wanted to look strong by taking legal action. Maybe she thought she could intimidate Justin into giving up. But she miscalculated. The leaked audio turned everything around. Her lies about fear are collapsing. Her claims of being mentally broken don't match the evidence of her smiling in fancy clothes in front of crowds. She even tried to rope Anna Kendrick into the situation by bringing up drama during a simple favor. Rumors spread that she and Anna despised each other, yet that was brushed aside publicly. Paul Feig tried to protect his movie and pretend everything was fine, but it's clear there was tension. If Blake was really so nice, why would there be such anger behind the scenes? Paul at least didn't continue to cover for her. He finally came out and said she was wrong about being scared at the premiere. Even with all these signs of Blake's behavior, she's still pushing her legal claims. She hasn't given any solid proof that Justin did anything to harm her mental state. She only waves around emotional language about anxiety and trauma. Meanwhile, Justin lost actual money, had real deals canceled, and saw his livelihood damaged. He has concrete evidence of what happened to him thanks to that audio. It's a clear example of how a powerful person can ruin someone else's career by calling in favors. When you look at the distance, the story is almost unbelievable. A big Hollywood star pretends she's frightened and traumatized, sues someone she worked with, claims she cannot even leave her house, but then shows up for photo ops wearing expensive outfits. She says the pressure is too much to bear, yet she doesn't slow down her public life at all. Meanwhile, a person who lost everything because of her has to defend himself in court and fight for his reputation. No matter how much she tries to spin it, Blake cannot erase the fact that Ari Emanuel told the world he fired Justin for personal friendship reasons. That alone destroys her entire argument that Justin was let go because of serious issues. Once that story collapsed, her other claims about being too traumatized to face the world started to look even more fake. She might have assumed nobody would ever hear the audio. Maybe she believed Ari or other powerful friends would protect her. She probably didn't expect the recording would leak and that the internet would spread it everywhere. Now the lawsuit stands at a point where both sides are ready to battle it out. If it goes to trial, more secrets will come out. Blake might be forced to show emails or texts that prove she wasn't as anxious as she claimed. People might learn that she was simply angry at Justin and wanted to get rid of him. Studios and other actors might get pulled in, and their communications might be shown in court. This could become a massive scandal, revealing all the shady ways people with power manipulate the entertainment industry. Blake's only way out is if Justin agrees to settle. But why would he do that when he already has such strong evidence in his favor? He was publicly labeled as a problem, only for everyone to find out he was fired based on friendship, not wrongdoing. If he wins in court, he could get a big payout and clear his name. He might rebuild his career by showing the world that he wasn't the monster Blake made him out to be. Meanwhile, Blake would be left facing the fact that she lied. That would damage her reputation in a way that might last a long time, because people in Hollywood would see she tried to destroy someone's life for no real reason. Plus, there's always the chance that more damaging information about Blake will surface. Who knows what kind of messages or calls might show up in court documents? Maybe she said things that would make her look even worse. If that happens, her entire image could come crashing down. She acted like she was invincible, leaning on her star power and her friendships with industry giants. But once legal proceedings dig into private files, there's no telling what might come out. People who once supported her might step away if they see undeniable proof that she orchestrated all this drama on purpose. Even her fans who might have believed she was truly suffering could turn on her if it becomes clear she never felt any serious fear or anxiety in the first place. The public doesn't like finding out they were fed a fake story by someone who wanted attention or revenge. It feels like a trick, and people don't like being tricked. Every bit of evidence suggests that Blake was far from a victim. She was able to get a major agency boss to end someone's career just because she felt like it. That doesn't line up with a person who's shaking in terror at home, worried to leave the house. That lines up with someone who wants to eliminate a rival and can pick up the phone to call her well-connected allies. If she was honest, she would have admitted from the start that she didn't want to work with Justin or that they had issues on set. But instead, she acted like she was too hurt to function, then happily walked red carpets and did interviews. She had no problem continuing her Hollywood life while telling the court she couldn't handle life at all. Justin Baldoni, on the other hand, didn't have the same power circle. He was easy to push aside, but he refused to disappear quietly, which is why this entire scandal reached the public. Now he has a decent chance of getting justice if the case moves forward. He might get the chance to prove that she was the one causing all the damage. He might even get compensated for the deals and projects he lost. And Blake might have to pay a serious price, not just in money, but in lost respect. Once other actors and producers see that she tried to ruin somebody with false claims, they could decide they don't want to work with her. Nobody wants to trust a person who lies in court about serious emotional issues. This outcome would be a fitting response to someone who caused so much harm. If you misuse the system just because you think you can fool people, eventually it catches up to you. Blake can appear at as many events as she wants, but she cannot hide from the truth that keeps popping up. Even her own director publicly disagreed with her story, and the leaked audio recording is another nail in the coffin of her claims. Some observers think it would have been simpler if Blake had just tried to settle things quietly with Justin at the start. She could have avoided a big showdown. They could have released a joint statement saying they worked out their differences. That's a normal Hollywood movie when two famous people want to bury a dispute. Instead, she pushed forward with a lawsuit that forced everything into the spotlight. Now the scandal is too big to hide. The meltdown is also affecting other stars. Anna Kendrick got dragged into the rumor mill, as did Ryan Reynolds, since he's obviously on Blake's side. People are asking how far their circle went to shut down Justin's career. Did they all team up to block him from opportunities? Did Ryan make calls of his own? Did they both talk to Ari Emanuel? These questions grow because of how suspicious the entire story looks. It's not about a single actress telling a little lie. It might be about a group of famous people using their ties to an agency boss to harm someone else. No matter what happens next, Blake's actions won't be forgotten. She showed no compassion for the career she helped ruin. She kept on living her best life while claiming she was too destroyed to work. If the lawsuit goes to trial, she'll have to stand by her falsehoods under oath. She might try to cry in court or act upset, but once lawyers bring up all the pictures of her smiling at premieres, it'll be hard to explain her words about being terrified to go outside. If she's found to have made up these claims, the backlash could be severe. Studios might think twice before hiring someone who lies about emotional issues to manipulate public sympathy. Other actors might feel uneasy around her, worried that if they ever have a problem, she might try the same tactic on them. That's not a good place to be in Hollywood, where relationships matter almost as much as talent. People prefer not to work with someone who can't be trusted. On top of that, the idea that she cost Justin millions of dollars in lost projects paints her as someone who is not just misguided, but ruthless. She had every advantage in the world and still felt the need to stomp on someone who was doing his own thing. She claimed she was protecting herself from a guy who had done nothing to show he was a threat. It was all about her power and her ability to spin a dramatic tale. She thought the court and the public would just believe her. She didn't count on outsiders like Paul Feig speaking honestly or leaked recordings appearing out of nowhere. As events unfold, it looks more and more like Blake will find herself trapped by her own lawsuit. She pushed for this fight, so she cannot simply walk away without admitting she made it all up. Right now, all we can say is that Blake's plan to paint herself as a broken victim is collapsing. She has been exposed by her director's statements and by Ari Emanuel's audio. She tried to keep it hidden. She tried to push a story about feeling helpless. Then the real reasons behind Justin's firing came to light, and it became clear she was just using her high status to get what she wanted. It might have worked if nobody outside her circle spoke up, but they did. If the case goes to trial, Hollywood's biggest fear will come true. This conflict will be laid out for everyone to watch, and more powerful players might be called to testify. That could ruin multiple careers, not just Blake's. People who helped her or lied on her behalf could also get caught, and that level of exposure is something that most stars avoid at all costs. But it's the path Blake chose when she refused to settle earlier and decided to carry on with her empty claims. At this point, her attempts to act like she's a brave person standing up against a threat are silly. There's no evidence Justin ever threatened her. There is real evidence that she told people behind closed doors she wanted him gone, and that she was able to make it happen through her friendship network. This isn't heroism, it's cruelty. She wanted to see him fail, and she used every tool at her disposal to make sure he would. Now that the truth is out, there's no going back. Some onlookers suggest Blake might try a last-minute settlement if she realizes how bad this will be for her in court, but that means letting Justin off the hook and paying him a lot of money. It also means publicly dropping her claims. That would basically confirm she never had a real case. She might try to spin it as a mutual agreement, but by then, the public will have seen so many holes in her story that it might not matter. She's locked in a corner of her own making. No matter how you slice it, Blake Lively has shown she'll do whatever it takes to protect her image, even if it means destroying someone else's future. She pretended to be frightened. She called in favors. She twisted the truth in court papers, all to make herself look like a target of wrongdoing. But facts speak louder than her words, and the facts show that she was actually the one with enough power to have a man fired from a huge agency. That alone tells us who had the real control. In the end, all this drama points to one conclusion. Blake Lively is the villain who acted out of self-interest. She refused to admit it even when her own director and a leaked audio recording poked holes in her story. The rest of the world can see the truth now. Her lawsuit, built on shaky claims, stands on the brink of collapse. It's not a matter of if the truth will come out, but when. She started this fight, and now she has to face the consequences of her own actions. Her attempt to appear as a fragile star needing protection has fallen apart, revealing that she's just someone who uses power to harm others and then tries to lie about it in plain sight.